In this morning's Business Insight, the Women's Fund of the Greater Cincinnati Foundation has developed an employer toolkit to help local companies remain competitive in a tough environment for hiring and retention. The toolkit tackles this challenge by digging deep into the perspective not just of the employer, but of the employee. Megan Cummings, Executive Director of the Women's Fund, joins Business Watch producer Kelly Leon in the studio with more on how the employer toolkit works and how to use it. Megan and Kelly.
Thanks, Peg. Megan, thanks for being here. Welcome back.
Thanks, Kelly.
So let's just start with the evolution. How and why did this employer toolkit come to be?
Yeah, sure. So the Women's Fund was doing some work in northern Kentucky to get more women interested in manufacturing jobs. And what we found is we'd train them and we'd get them in there and it wouldn't last. And it wasn't a skills issue. So we started looking at some policies that had an unintended negative effect on lower wage workers. And what we saw is there was no bad intent in these policies, it's just things that really worked against what they were trying to do. So we took our expertise of the Women's Fund to really understand working women, especially women in poverty, and also interviewed dozens and dozens and dozens of employers about what their big challenges were. And we really were able to become a bridge between some of the challenges of the employers and the challenges of the employees.
So who's using it and what have you learned so far? Because the article in the Business Courier had some very specific examples that were just enlightening.
Right, they're as plain as day once you see them.
Once you talk to
them. So we've been vetting this toolkit for about 6 months with the Employer Roundtable of the Child Poverty Collaborative. So there's many companies across sectors who are testing these policies and they're having great success with them. So that was kind of how we're testing them, and the online toolkit really helps you calculate your turnover, what that number is. It helps you understand your workforce, what their lives are like, some of the complex situations they might have. And then it provides about 40 actionable, concrete examples of things you can change in your own handbooks about these policies.
So give me some examples.
Sure. So
I love the zoo example. You don't have to do that one. You do whatever one you want, but I love the zoo example.
A good example. So one of the things we talk about is the problem with reimbursement policies. We have many of these for tuition reimbursement, for transportation reimbursement, etc. And the issue is with many lower wage employees, they don't have the money up front to be reimbursed. So even though a company has a great intention of paying for a benefit, if it comes at the end of the month, a lot of employees can't access that. So what they found at the zoo is, although they had a reimbursement policy for transportation for a bus pass, it happened at the end of the month, and what they saw is a lot of employees didn't have a lot of money up front to buy that bus pass and then being reimbursed. So they said, well, let's just do this outright, and they saw the uptake of that benefit really increase, and it really stabilized their workforce. So that's just one small example. Some other top line highlights from the report, there's 40 policies, but we saw some other ones, is there's a lot of companies that have really high turnover, 80% plus in a lot of the companies we talk to. And if your benefits aren't starting till 30, 60 days, 6 months, they're not having the intended effect because those employees have already moved on. So start those benefits early so you can really stabilize the workforce and reduce that churn in those low wage work areas.
And if people want to use the toolkit, there's a website they can go to that we'll put up. But talk about, as we look at that, who should be going to this website and looking that up? Is this for all employers?
It really is for all employers, with a specific mind toward employers that have a percentage of lower wage workforce. So people making under about $20 or $18 an hour. That would be really helpful, and that's what it's designed for. But it can go across sectors: manufacturing, logistics, retail, food service. Everyone's finding a place in the toolkit. Especially HR professionals are finding a lot of value in it, but anyone that has a stake in their company's bottom line should be reading this toolkit and understanding these ideas.
And I guess over the next several months, as you roll this out and people start using it, will you be looking at gathering some data and looking at where you go from here?
Absolutely. We strongly believe these policies have a positive effect on your your ROI and your bottom line at your companies. So we're really interested to see which ones have the most positive effect. About 80 companies have downloaded the toolkit already just this week.
Oh, that's
and so we're
great.
looking for even more to download it, and it's a free resource. And it comes with HR policies that have already been written by an employment attorney that are handbook ready.
Yeah, well, it's fascinating, and wouldn't that be great if it really made a dent in turnover and really helped people get the jobs that we, as we talked about in our first segment, we so desperately need.
Absolutely.
A wide variety. So thanks so much. Keep us posted on it. And